Hello, back again. As Liam says, it is the holistic coaching queen herself again. Very, very, very truly excited to be here once more, especially to dive deeper into the world of holistic modalities, of holistic living, of holistic practices, of holistic approaches. Honestly, something that I live and breathe, and just learning about it brings so much passion into my life, and just being able to share it with all of you brings even more passion, because what's the point of you learning all of these things if you don't get to share them, right? I mean, you can learn for the sake of it. I love to do that already on its own. I love to go to school. Fun fact about me, I love, love, love learning so much that if it were up to me and if I had all the money in the world, I would get like maybe a couple more degrees, go get my doctorate, go get masters, and just become an expert in so many different things. But definitely I would love to go to school even more. I am the type of person that if I could, I would buy pretty much almost every course available that teaches you something. So I am just a massive learner. And I think this is very important, because to teach is a beautiful thing. But if you're not first a student, if you're not taking in the information, if you're not learning, then what's the point? We are all students of life. We are all here to learn and to share what we've learned with others, to teach in a way. You don't necessarily have to teach like I do in here or in a classroom or through courses. You could just do it through teaching your friends, your family, your kids. And so that is a beautiful thing. So I am definitely a student of life. And I hope that every time that you are listening here in the Coaching Mastery, but also in the podcast, that you are also being open and receiving, in just sitting with the eyes and the ears and the heart and the mind, to just listen and to be a student. Because when you are teachable, the world just becomes so much better. When you are able to, be teachable, to be a student, then you are able to learn so much more, not only because it enriches your mind, but also to learn about yourself. So I'm just so excited to be here and to just share everything with you that I have to share with you, which today is a very fun topic, and very interesting one as well, because I'm going to be talking about life force energy. Essentially, I'm going to be talking about energy. The topic today in specific is really how to connect to life force energy. And the first thing that we are going to talk about is life force energy. What does that mean? Many people call it different things. Life force energy, can be called your soul, can be called prana, chi, ki, Reiki as well. So life force energy, which just means it's energy. Spirit is energy, that it's everlasting, that it's everywhere in the world, that it's all pervasive, shared by all living beings and also non-living beings. Because when we talk about energy in a scientific way, which I always love to bring in the scientific aspect of things, because, why the heck not? When we think about, for example, a computer, laptop, which is something so that most people use, that has energy, not only because you're connecting it to a source that it's helping it bring to life, that it has a battery and then it's helping it bring to life, but the computer in itself, the physical thing, is also made up of energy, because there's molecules and atoms, and that is the scientific aspect of it. We all know physics, that everything is made up of energy. The table, the chair that I'm sitting on right now as I'm recording this, my phone, and not only the aspect that, it has energy because it's being charged or whatnot, it's because of the molecules and the atoms that it all has. However, if we want to take it back into ourselves as humans, as living beings, and people think, that doesn't make any sense that we're energy, because maybe some people think about it as the woo, weird, like, what do you mean the word energy doesn't mean, or some people don't believe in the soul, and that's completely fine. But we can think about it in a practical way, in a very evidence-based way that it has been researched, is that we, as a human body, we emit electromagnetic fields. And therefore, that shows that we have energy. Our heart is the greatest source of energy, actually. It is the one that charges the energy to go outward from the heart. And it's the one that reaches the longest distance, is the longest electromagnetic field. So we have our own magnetic field. Our organs have their own electromagnetic field, and they all range in the way that they are measured. And our heart is the one thing that radiates outwardly and has a greater space of that electromagnetic field emitting outwardly. Hopefully that is making a lot of sense. So that is when we can say that if someone is carrying a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, or someone is just a very happy, loving person, that's when we talk about it in a scientific way, when we can say, I don't really like this energy, or I love this energy. And when we vibrate into that space, because if a person is holding on resentment, anger, a lot of despair, we're able to read it, and not because of the fact that, oh, my intuition is telling me this. So there is a part playing in that, and we can go over it a little bit more later on. It's more because energetically or our emotions are manifested through our body. The biggest example of this is through stress, or when we get scared and our heart is pumping really fast. So if someone is manifesting anger, or it has anger, a lot of despair, a lot of jealousy or resentment in their life, and they're just stuck in that place, we can read of that energy and we can feel of that energy, because the heart is emitting that electromagnetic field outwardly. It's emitting that vibration. It's emitting that energy, that feeling. And yeah, we can talk about it in a scientific way. But when we go and step into the woo and the esoteric, I would say, we say that person, we maybe not be vibing a lot with that energy because it conflicts with our own energy as well. If we're emitting an energy of joy, and that person is emitting that energy that we don't vibe with, or that we don't really get along with, or that makes us take a step back because it's emitting an energy that we don't want to welcome, or that doesn't feel good. And as humans, we tend to want to feel good. It's part of the human nature. Hopefully that is a little bit of an understanding of like a little bit of the scientific with a little bit of the woo aspect of energy. Energy is all around us and it's everywhere. And you, whoever is watching this, you guys that are watching, that are listening, you are made up of energy. Whether you believe that you have a soul or not, you are made of energy scientifically. But if you believe that you have a soul, your soul is already a channel for energy. It's already energy in itself. And if we want to think about it in a bigger aspect, whatever it is that we're connected to a higher source, to a divine power, or whatever you want to call it, that energy is transmitted and flowing through you as well. Energy is everywhere. And today we're just going to talk a little bit more about how to connect to it. And more precisely as well, how to connect our clients through that. Because maybe they don't want to connect to a higher source, and that's completely fine. To each its own journey. Everybody has to take on their journey and has to go through their journey at their own pace and however they want to. And we cannot force someone to believe in something just because we do. And so the best way to think about that is consciousness, our being, right? Maybe they don't want to connect to their soul because they don't believe in it. So however they want to call it, however they want to interpret it, the way that you connect with energy, you connect with yourself in this aspect. And that's what I really want to focus a lot of this talk, is connecting with life force energy, meaning you. Connecting with the energy that is within, connecting with your inner being, your own consciousness, your own mind, your own soul, however and whatever it is that you believe. It is very important to always keep that in mind, to not generalize and to put everyone's perspective when we talk about these kind of topics. So, like I said before, energy is called in different ways. In yoga, it's called prana, and that is your energy. It's also your breath. Breath your breath, which I mentioned last week, is the most powerful thing. It literally gives you life. That already in itself, it's energy because it gives you energy. Literally breathing gives you energy. And that already on its own shows you that there is energy all around. Because when you take an inhale, you are bringing life into your body, right? Scientifically or practically or just logically, when you breathe, it goes all the way to your lungs, which your lungs, there's a whole process in the process of breathing, and it causes the blood to oxygenate itself so that way your heart can start pumping, and that just helps you be alive. So already in its own, prana, that's energy. Then we talk about qi, which is in Chinese medicine and the Chinese tradition. And basically qi is energy. That's what they call it. Then we have qi, which is an interpretation. It's kind of the same thing as qi. It's just said in the form of qi. You have energy, you have soul, and then you have Reiki, which is the one that I have become a master in. I did my Reiki level 1 practitioner training and my Reiki level 2 practitioner training. So I became a Reiki level 1 and 2 practitioner. And that ultimately changed my life because I was able to connect a lot deeper with myself and to connect with a higher force already as well. And that made me feel more in tuned and more aligned and more connected with others at the same time. So because I was able to connect deeply with myself and see how it just clicked, how everything was just made out of energy. And this is something that my mom had always talked about when I was a kid, and was like, we are all made of energy. And I honestly, I thought that my mom was crazy for that. I was like, what the heck is she talking about? That we're all energy. Obviously, by having that background, it helped a lot assimilate it and later on in life. But once I started doing my yoga teacher training, I started to realize the different elements that it has to what energy meant, what energy means, and how we're all made of it, and how a higher source, because I do believe in a higher source, is made of energy and it flows through me every single day, basically. When we talk about Reiki, which is what I was talking about, I did my Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2 practitioner training while I was doing my yoga teacher training. And it blew my mind how I could emit energy, channel this beautiful, loving, unconditional, joyful energy to help facilitate healing for someone else. And that is because you are energy. You're able to create this channel of higher force energy to pass through you so that you can do great things in this world, so that you can be a facilitator for change. So you can be a healer, if you like to call yourself that, or so that you could be a vehicle for that energy. I personally don't like to call myself a healer, just don't resonate with it, because it's not me that is doing the healing. It's the energy that is doing the healing. And so I did my Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2 practitioner training, and I graduated, and I wanted to dive deep a lot deeper into it, into energy work, and to being able to kind of understand what is it that it meant. And so I continued to do my Reiki master training. And so I became a Reiki master and a teacher as well. So a teacher trainer. So that way people can become as well. So I can attune people to become Reiki practitioners and Reiki masters, if that's within their journey. And what I started to understand, not only that, I had this capability within myself, but it's just the ability that you have to connect not only with a higher source, but to connect with others in an energetic level. I was able to understand people a lot more deeply because of it. And so I wanted to talk about more into detail of us humans, so that you can understand what is it that you mean to connect with energy, and how does that work and whatnot. And yeah, you do have to go through a training to become a Reiki practitioner and to be able to do energy healing like that. But at the same time, you really don't if you want to do energy healing in general. Some people have the gift of already being channels of that energy. But typically, because of our life stressors, our life experiences, our traumas, or our beliefs, our limiting beliefs, our patterns and everything, that energy gets weakened throughout our life. And therefore, we definitely should be able to go through the process of attunement through Reiki level 1, Reiki level 2, and Reiki master. We, as humans, to go a little bit deeper, we have different layers of energetic beings. And this is something that I learned in my yoga teacher training. And for me, it just made complete sense. And this is called the koshas, which are basically layers of energy that make up who you are. You have your material, physical body. And from then on, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper within yourself, or different layers that expand and is basically made up of energy. So we really think about it. We have our material being, which is our physical form, which is made up of energy already in itself. I mean, if you rub your hands together until they become really, really, really hot, and you have the practice of really allowing it to be really, 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 really hot and to become very dense. And then you separate your hands and you feel this energy going between your hands. However that feels. For me, sometimes it feels like a sphere, like a ball. Sometimes it just feels like energy waving through one side to another. And depending on your level of energy, of how balanced your energy system is, you're able to expand that a little bit more. So if you continue to open your hands a little bit more, you continue to see how that energy expands or reduces if you go back to being your hands closer. So if you start to expand your hands, you start to feel how that energy stretches out of you, and to one point that maybe you feel like your energy will break off. And that does happen unless that you have a really balanced system, and it almost feels like it doesn't stop because you're more in tuned to your body. But like I was saying, we have different layers, and this is very important to understand when you approach this topic to your clients, because a lot of people do not believe in energy. That's completely fine. A lot of people just don't know how to approach it, or they're open to it, but they don't know exactly what it is. And so a good way to approach it is just one, tell them how we're all made up of atoms, of molecules, which is a fact because of science, that energy is everywhere. We can think about it as the sound waves, microwaves, light. That is already energy. And not because it's like, oh, there's light emitting, but because of the pattern and the path that light takes from where its sources on into your eyes, basically. So everything that we touch is energy. And that is one way. And then the second one is the research that has been done of that we are all electromagnetic beings. But if we want to dive in deeper, or if your client is if your client is open to receiving the information and they're curious about energy and them and getting to know themselves in that way, then something that you can teach them is about the koshas, which I'll briefly talk about in here. But mainly, this is something that we'll touch upon on my new course. And so the first layer that we have is our material being, right? Basically, we consist of a material body made from the food that we eat. And those who care for their body are nourished by the universe itself. And we can talk about the way that we eat and whatnot, but that's not really the topic that we're going to talk about and focus on in here. But inside of this body that we have, this physical body that you can touch, is a body made of life energy. And it basically fills the physical body and takes its shape. And those who treat it well have excellent health and longevity, as it is the source of physical life. Within this body, you'll have another body, and that one is made up of thought energy, your consciousness. It feels the two denser bodies and has the same shape, the same of your body, of your physical one. Those who control this body, their thoughts, they are aware, are no longer affected by fear. Then deeper that body lies another body composed of intellect, very different from the thought energy. This is intellect. And it fills these 3 denser bodies and assumes the same form. Those who establish their awareness here free themselves from unhealthy thoughts and actions and develop self-control, necessary kind of like to achieve your own goals. Inside this body, there's still another body composed of pure joy. And basically it pervades inside of the other bodies and shares the same shape. And then it is experienced as happiness, as delight, as bliss, as love. We are essentially multidimensional creatures, and our awareness manifests on many different planes. I mean, we can talk about how we use our own energy, our thoughts are that currency, our emotions are currency that helps us manifest things into life. So we can talk about manifestation, for example. A lot of people use the law of attraction, which is whatever you think, you attract, whatever you feel, you attract, and embodying that. And while that is true, it doesn't restrict it to just that, right? It's just typically when you have better thoughts, or you're able to control your thoughts and you feel better, you're able to create a better life for yourself and therefore nurture all those layers. So these are the five different layers that you have within you. And you can explain this to your clients, and we'll dive deeper into this, into what we have been talking about inside of the Coaching Masters, which is the Holistic Modalities course. So if you want to get to know more about it, honestly, just go on that. But if we want to explain that to our clients, it's just the most basic form. It's just our body. Just imagine it just encompasses all this energy. And we can talk about it as like, your life force, your breath, your prana, or your soul. And the way that you want to connect your clients with it is very simple. You can do it by rubbing the hands, like I showed you just now. And this creates this warmth energy. That already in itself is connecting to your own energy that you are able to supply for yourself and create energy that you already have within your body. And so doing this already on its own, they can try it with the, measuring how it feels when they keep their hands closed, when they expand and whatnot. But that's a good way to try and like for your client to start playing with their own energy, to start to get to know that part of themselves and understand that they're made out of energy. But a good way to start to connect them to life force energy is through that shaking the hands, and not shaking, but caressing. Oh my God, I just blanked. I'm like, I completely forgot what it's called. But just shaking their hands is how I explained it, and rubbing their hands together until it's really, really hot, and place their hands on their eyes. Once they have their eyes closed and their hands are placed in there, just taking them to breathe deeply, that allows them to connect to their own source of energy, to recycle that energy, to bring warmth into their body, into their physical body, but also into their own energetic body, into their emotional body, into their mental body. Because this helps already access the energy that they already have within them, but also with the breath, again, because it's prana, it's life force energy already in itself, it helps them regulate it and play with it on the inside. So being able to see how those two match up and how it feels to play with them together, it's a really good way of helping them to connect to that energy. Maybe it's not a higher force energy, but it's their own energy, which ultimately is connected to the higher force energy. Now we have the breath. Like I said in the last episode, was breath is life. Literally, it's literally life. You need to breathe in order to live. And so that is the simplest way to connect to life force energy. That is the simplest way to connect with ourselves deeply, with our mind, with our body, with our souls, and with our emotions. Because when we're able to close our eyes and go within and just take a couple deep breaths in, and just noticing how that breath flows in and out of you, you're able to see how that energy flows in and out of you. Yeah, it's in the manifestation of the breath, but that doesn't mean that it's not energy. So the way that you connect to your client, or you connect yourself with life force energy through the breath, is by closing your eyes, taking a seat, Well, first take a seat, then close your eyes. A really good way of doing this is sitting on a chair, because you're able to ground yourself with your feet on the ground, and you are able to keep your back long and straight as well, because you have back support. And then closing your eyes and guiding your client or guiding yourself to first take 3 to 5 deep inhales. Deep diaphragmatic inhales, because some people don't know how to breathe, and how that works is diaphragmatic inhales means that breathing in through the belly, then through the chest, and then exhale through the belly. That is the most simplest way that you can explain that, because essentially you want to move, the diaphragm wants to move in the way that it should move rather than forcing it to move in a different way. So easily 3 to 5 deep breaths for them to connect to that flow of energy, to connect to their own breath, to connect to their own energy. And then just guide them to be with their own breath, to their own natural rhythm of breath, so they can start to get to know that energy, how it feels, how it flows through them on a regular basis, and guide them to see how that breath, that energy feels in different parts of the bodies, or if they can target that breath to different parts of the bodies. So at first, a really good way to just see how it feels is through the nostrils, right? See how it feels to breathe in through the nostrils. For some people, it's cold air. For some people, maybe not. It depends on where you are in the world, but most of the time it's just that feeling, whatever it needs to be felt in your nostrils at that time, and breathing into that, right? So we're talking about the emotional part, the physical part of the body, seeing how it feels. Then seeing how the chest feels, the activity, the action of opening up the chest, of the lungs expanding, of the lungs contracting with each inhale and each exhale. Then the belly, how the belly expands and contracts with each inhale and exhale. And after that, that's just the physical body, right? And then we go a layer deeper into the organs. So feel how the breath can travel through maybe the spinal cord, to the back of their spine, maybe how it feels, their breath in their lungs. If they can take that breath into their stomach, into their womb for women, into their pelvic floor, and seeing how that moves. Then sending the breath to the feet or to the legs, right? And sending the breath and targeting into the mind or to the third eye, like basically the way that you would explain that, it would be just focused on the center of your eyebrows and breathe in through that. And so that is a really simple yet great way of connecting with life force energy, because your breath, it's already on its own prana. It's already energy. It's already life force energy that it's literally giving you life. So if people are a little bit skeptical about it, just say, literally energy is your breath because it gives you life. You cannot see it. You literally cannot see your breath. You can literally not see the air outside unless you're in a smoky room, but you cannot smell the air. You cannot see the air. You just inhale it. It's not there. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. The same thing applies with energy. So the first good way to connect with the energy so they can feel it is through the hand rubbing. That's a very easy way of them feeling their own energy, of feeling energy that they cannot see. Another way is through the breath. They can feel it again, but they can feel it inside of their body. And that is already energy that they cannot see. And then we have Reiki energy, which technically Reiki energy is available to all of us. But like I explained before, Reiki, we lose the touch with that energy through our experiences, through the course of our lives, because of traumas, of wounds, of stress, of poor, bad life choices, of alcohol, of drugs and whatnot. And we can lose some of that innate force that it's within ourselves. And so when you go through Reiki practitioner training, you are able to balance the energy and welcoming the new channel so that you can be a channel of that beautiful energy to flow through you. And therefore you feel a lot more balanced. Another aspect that we can talk about energy is through the chakras, which some of you may have heard about it. And these are energy wheels that you can see or think about that they run through from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head. And they each all are connected energetically to different parts of your body. You have your root chakra, which is the base. It's in the base of your spine, and that's what keeps you grounded. Then you have your sacral chakra, which is connected to your reproductive organs. Then you have your solar plexus chakra, which is the one that is underneath or on your diaphragm, basically on top of your navel. And that is connected to your power. It's also connected to your stomach and different areas in that, and different organs in that area. You have your heart chakra, which is connected to your heart and to your lungs. You have your throat chakra, which is connected to your throat, to your neck, to your lymph nodes. Yeah, your lymph nodes. And it's basically the way that you speak or you express yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be with speaking, but also expressing yourself within your body. You have your third eye chakra, which is connected to your pituitary gland. And this is the one that is connected with your intuition. And then you have your crown chakra, which is connected to your brain as well. And it's the one that helps you be more connected with source and be more in balance within yourself. So with the things that we do in life, these energy wheels that are around our body, that are in line in our body, are being manifested in different ways through disease, through emotional symptoms, through physical symptoms, through because it's all running out of balance. And a good way to help balance is, again, like I said before, is just getting in touch with your energy and addressing those different parts. Obviously, we're not going to dive deeper into the chakras and that energy system and how we can balance it and everything. But a very simple practice, again, is through the breath, because breath is energy already in its own. And when you're able to tap and breathe into those different areas, breathing into your sacral chakra, which is your womb, your reproductive organs, you're able to breathe into that area. You're able to eliminate whatever that needs to not be there. You're able to release whatever doesn't serve it anymore. So basically inhaling into that part of the body and exhaling whatever is that you think that it's holding it back. So in that area, a lot of emotion is being held back. You have your root chakra, for example, and this is the one that is at the base of your spine. And this is the one that where anxiety is manifested or fear is manifested, or when you feel ungrounded or unstable. And so breathing into this. So it's a beautiful practice, the breath. That's what I'm saying. Once you're able to understand your own energy and these different energy alignments, like the koshas that I meant earlier, which is our energetic bodies that are inside of us, and the chakras, which are the wheels that are also inside of your body that target different areas of your body and different emotions. When you're able to breathe into that, or you guide your client to breathe into those parts, then a lot of release can happen because you're just guiding them to breathe. And you do this through inhaling the good stuff in, or inhaling so they can focus on that area, and exhaling to release what no longer serves them. So for example, if someone comes to you and they're feeling, if someone comes to you and they just got fired from their job and they feel like they have a lot of this pressure, they haven't found a job yet and everything, you can, without them having to know exactly what is it that they're working, if they don't believe in an energy system, it's just breathing into that area that you already know that it's linked to the root chakra, which is that stability, right? They maybe don't have this financial stability. They have all this uncertainty, anxiety, and fear around not having money or not having a job, not being able to provide for themselves or for their family, whatever it is. And so you can guide them to breathe into that area, which is the pelvic floor, to breathe into the base of the spine, and to allow that energy, to allow that breath to move and to flow through with just simple, deep inhales. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, because I know that I can talk very fast and I can talk a lot. And sometimes it may not be like, oh my God, I have to learn this and I have to learn that. But just take your time. Just again, like I said, listen and be open to what is coming up for you. Be open to what you're listening to, and not necessarily have to be like, oh, I have to learn about this right now. Just let it come when it has to come. And so I hope all of this is making a lot of sense into the way that you can connect to that energy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, let me connect to this energy. It's just connecting to yours, which is through the breath, through rubbing your hands together, to move your body so that way you can move energy in your body. Exercise is a really good example of that. Yoga is a really good example. Dancing is one of the best ways to remove any type of stuck energy that is stuck in your physical body. But I hope all in all that you are able to understand how energy is everywhere. And it may be too woo for you, maybe too out there for you, and that's okay. But I hope it makes you realize that, okay, maybe I made up all of this energy and maybe I have these different layers, or maybe I don't. And whatever it is, it's definitely your own belief system. But the fact that you have this breath, you inhale and exhale, and it comes out so naturally and it's so powerful. And you can't see what you are literally breathing in. That already in itself is energy, because you're breathing in something that it's giving you life. And yeah, it is going through different processes that it's very scientifically proven and whatnot. And yes, that is completely accurate and true. But you cannot see the air that you breathe in, yet you believe that there is air, and therefore that already gives you a lot of energy and already gives you life. So that's really what this is all about. And I cannot wait to dive a lot deeper into this when we go further into the course that the Coaching Masters is putting out there, because I can talk about this day in, day out. And it's just going to be more extensive for me to explain exactly without having to be like botching, just like, hey, and this and this and this and this and that. But to wrap up, basically, like I said, energy is all around you and you are made of energy. Scientifically, it's also proven. And to connect with it, the simplest way to do it is through your breath and through rubbing your hands together. When you need that warmth, you just put it in your eyes, put it in your throat, put it in your heart center as well. I mean, you think about it intuitively. We already do this stuff. Like, think about your mom or your guardian or your parents, or you yourself with your kids, if you have kids, or just a loved one. Remember, if you fell or your kid falls, you automatically go to that body part. Let's see, the knee scrape. You automatically go to that part to cover it. Yeah, to protect it. But at the same time, intuitively, we just know what to do. Intuitively, we're putting energy on that body part. Intuitively, we're putting pressure. We're protecting that end with that body part, that scraped knee. But intuitively also, we're putting energy onto that body part to heal it. And so it's just a matter of tapping into it, of connecting with it. And the first step to connect to that energy is through the breath. When you're able to do that, then the world just expands a lot more in your life and you're able to understand better. Sorry, this basically wraps up this episode. There's so much to talk about it. I hope it made a lot of sense. And I hope that you put into practice what I said. It's just simple rubbing your hands together or just breathing, honestly. Even if it's just because you do it so unconsciously, you're probably so used to it. Obviously, you take it for granted, but mindfully and intentionally breathing is so powerful. Thank you so much for being here with me. Honestly, it makes me so happy that you guys tune in and that you're able to just be present in here, to listen, to be students of everything that pops in here, of students in life. I hope to see you next week, which I think I will. That is it for me. Hope that you have a beautiful day, evening, wherever you may be, and sending you so much love and light. Bye-bye.